For tonight, we're going to look back on last weekend's games in the National Football League, Down versus Westmeath. We look forward to the upcoming fixture against Fermanagh in Cusack Park, Mullingar on Sunday next at 1 o'clock. We'll also look forward to the hurling game, second round for the Westmeath Senior Hurlers, even though it's round 3 with their second game away in London. We will also discuss the championship structure for 2026, and we'll also talk a little bit about the decoupling route which was voted on at that same meeting. And we'll finish up with a quick word about our minor football team, and then discuss in small way the colleges on semi-final clash where now known who their opponents are in the other semi-final. Game 6. Think right for the end of February. Anyway, I'm joined tonight on my right hand side by Alan Mannion. Closer to me, breaking the ice for the first time, Ray Sheridan. Welcome, Ray, to join me. We'll talk to you in a second. On my left hand side is Brendan Shaw, and as we all know, Jerry Buckley on the extreme left. Ray, we'll break in gently into this one now, alright? You know, maybe just a quick word about your own career in management. You've been involved, last year with Shandona beating in the intermediate final.
But you've been around a few clubs and you've gained quite a bit of experience over the couple of years.
Yeah, look, I suppose once I retired, the last time I was playing under Alan there in thirds pass. And
enough to retire anyway?
No, it wasn't his fault, no. The body gave up, but straight away into the management, it probably filled the void for me fairly quick, and it's probably one of those addictions, whether it's under 10, under 12 or adult level. It's great being out on a pitch with a whistle when you're not able to play anymore, but yeah, really enjoy it.
And you're involved, as I said, with Shandona still for this year.
Yeah.
I know you were up in Newry on Saturday night, so again, watching some of your players there as well.
Yeah.
And
Lots of things to look forward to
again, but we're going to look back first of all. Jerry, you were on commentary for Midlands Radio 3 on Saturday. The game we were second best, I think it's fair to say, for a long time during the match, and yet at the very end we almost got something out of the game.
Yeah, just at the start to say, as far as I know, Ray, that match on Sunday is 2 o'clock, I've been told.
2 o'clock,
It was changed to 2. I just checked with Sinead before we came on tonight, just that people are clear on that. I know it's appeared both ways. Yeah, I was just thinking walking up tonight like that. This is a lovely when Westmeath are after winning. It's never as nice when they're after losing. And quite frankly, while we only lost by a goal, we were in many ways well beaten, I feel. I don't want to be overly critical, but it wasn't a good performance. And I know I was on duty at half time. I kind of said to the two lads, to Jerry Russell and Paul O'Donovan, I said, name me one Westmeath player who's played to his best in the first half, and there were no replies. So it was disappointing. And quarter of an hour into the second half, I thought we were going to get the mother and father who were beaten, to be honest with you, which has never been the case against Down. We've always run them close, either won narrowly or drawn or lost narrowly. But so let's start with the positives. We showed great spirit to come back. And we could have stolen it. It probably would have been larceny, and I have quotes from Mark McHugh there, and he said too it would have been a bit of a travesty if we had won it, but we had chances to win it and didn't take them. But overall, I think Down were worthy victors. It was, you have to say the conditions were very bad, but they were bad for both teams, so I'm not going to go down that road. But a lot of lads didn't play up to form, and some of our marquee players who I've never seen a footballer ever anywhere, from David Clifford down, who's played well in every match. Some of our marquee players just didn't hit form. That's partly down to kind of an aberration on their behalf, and the fact that Down had their homework done. It's quite clear who our star players are, and they had their homework done. And they were worthy winners, but there was a period, as I say, from midway in the first half to midway in the second half, that we did look at Division 3 team, and Down looked at Division 2 team. A lot of people saying we could end up meeting them in the final, and that is a possibility. But the other side of the coin is that if we produce similar performances in their entirety for the next few matches, you could be dragged down near to the bottom of the table. And I don't want to be too negative, but there are some funny results. Results went our way in that Wexford were beaten and looked as if they were going to win. They were beaten, at a last-minute goal, and so it drags them down to the same number of points as us. we'd be kind of hoping at this stage that Down will win all the remaining matches. But we have to do a lot of the work ourselves starting next Sunday against Fermanagh. So overall, it was a disappointing performance. But as Mark said after the game, you know, he'd bitten the hand off anybody for 4 points from 3 games at the start. And if you're to be honest about it, looking back on the 3 games, which I attended them all, and some of us attended them all, it's about the right total for us. And it would have been a bit of a travesty if we had won. But you have to say there was a lot of spirit shown to come back when it looked as if it was going to be an annihilation. And at least we avoided that, which would have done, I think, quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Ray, you were there as well, I know. We scored 1-8 without reply in a period there just coming towards the end of the second half, and we really took the game to them, and might even have a little bit of luck, might even have had another goal in it.
Yeah, like even when we were 7 down at that stage, we had a chance of another actually 5 points. So it could have been a lot tighter. But even that revival, a couple of players stood out to me when we got that purple patch or we got hold of it. Like a big problem for us was Oran Murdoch in the middle of the field for Down. He'd start midfield for any county in the country. He's an absolute machine. But during that period, Shane Allen went on him, and I thought Shane was brilliant. He got stuck into him, off the ball, on the ball, and curbed his influence on the game, and that allowed a fella Westmeath to get the purple patch. And a couple of lads that come off the line brought good energy. Brian Cooney, I thought Brian Gearan put himself about as well when he came on, and I think it all added to that little bit of a revival. And actually that point that got the insurance point, I think it was probably the only time in that period where Murdoch got away from Shane Allen. But I thought Shane Allen's performance in that, if we go on and we finish it well and hopefully get to a league final, which is obviously the aim, that'd be a match-up that could be something to be used down the line with Allen and Murdoch.
Yeah, and disappointing thing for me was I thought in the opening half that Down cut it straight down the centre. You know, I don't know, is it a bit, you know, are we a little bit naive, or is it, you know, I don't know, but they seem to break our defensive line or unit on the arc, and when they got through that, they were sort of straight in on the 21, they tapped over points. They ended up with 110, I think, at half time, and it could have been 210 because we got away with a goal opportunity right on half time where Jason Daly ended up in the back of the net, you know, having been bundled into it, but it could have been an awful lot worse at that stage.
I thought just in relation to that, we said we tied Baker at 6, and I thought Tig was trying to play the +1 quite well from there. But then Caleb Doherty was doing a little bit of damage and got a couple of scores. And at that point, I thought Mark McHugh put Danny Scahill man marking Doherty, which kept Doherty out of it for the last 10 minutes. But they ran through the middle through Guinness a couple of times at that point. So we had the +1, but when we gave up the +1, the man marked Doherty, it kind of created another problem then after, I thought, anyway, watching it.
Yeah, and Ty got an injury then as well, just coming up to half time as well. He didn't come back out for the centre for the second half. But what I liked about it, our subs, Mark McEwen and his management team are very, very, like, they show no mercy. And I think we said this before, but you know, the lads that have come on, they come in with a point to prove, and I thought we got, as Ray said, good energy off the bench for the second half. Like Robbie Ford came in and kicked 3 points. Brian Cooney was on a lot of things, got the goal. So, you know, there's positive there, and you know, lads are, you know, putting their hands up.
Yeah, well, we got 1-5 off the bench, which is a big boost. But listen, we're obviously disappointed with the result, but I wouldn't be overly disappointed. I would be very, very disappointed if we didn't show the character that we showed in the last 15-20 minutes, where we really got on top of them, really showed what we're about and got back into it. I know as a manager, and Ray will probably tell you the same, that you learn an awful lot more from a defeat than you do from victory at times. And I'm pretty sure that there's no doubt that that Mark and his management team will learn more from losing the other day than they would have, even if they snuck a draw at the end, where they had an opportunity maybe to sneak a draw or get something out of it. We learn way more about ourselves, about our character, about where we go going forward with what players from that defeat than we will if we snuck something out of it. Because you tend to, if you sneak something out of a draw or a victory, you tend to brush over the cracks and say, oh, do you know what, we didn't. Like Armagh did the exact same thing on Sunday. They were absolutely blitzed for the first half by Roscommon.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, they came out. Even the first 5 minutes of the second half, Roscommon was still all over them. And then all of a sudden they just changed tact, and it was a big change. And they, very same as us, they just fell a little bit short at the end. We have to take the positives out of it. we've been going really, really well up until now. This weekend is a really, really big game for us now. If we can get a win out of Fermanagh, we said at the very first podcast of the year, if we can get 4 points out of the first 3 matches, we would be in a very, very good place. Now we have 4 points. We'd obviously rather 6, but with 4 points, we're where I'd say Mark would probably aim to be at the start of the year and make sure that we get qualification. We have Fermanagh this weekend. I can't see why we haven't learned so much more from that defeat than we would if we got something out of the game. So I would be more positive than negative going forward in that regard.
Yeah. Brendan, a word of caution. When we get a little bit carried away with where things were going, like winning the Byrne Cup, we had it in here, how important is it, how relevant is it? Would we prefer to be now where Kildare are with 6 points on the board playing in Division 2 and no Byrne Cup? Is it maybe just a grounding for this group and maybe for some of the supporters as well? Am I unfair or harsh on that?
I don't think so. We 4 points on the board, but as Alan said, they're going to learn a lot from this. I think more than they would if they'd won the game, definitely. But our fate is in our own hands, really. Like, we have to go now and win every game from here on in. We're still in control of our year, and we just have to do it match by match now. Perhaps we were getting dreaming a little bit of being, of being higher up than we are, but we have to be realistic about where we're a Division 3 team at the moment. But we have to build on what all the work that's been done to date, and just focus on each game as it comes, like not be getting carried away with dreaming about league finals or Sam Maguire and like that. Just take every game as it comes, and that's, I think, that will cool our jets a little bit for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and like the leagues are great, like, because they're all evenly balanced games. Like, we've already seen, Laois maybe, who came up, I think they came up out of Division 4 last year, turned over Sligo this weekend comfortably enough, maybe a lot more comfortably than we did. So, Limerick beat us in the Tailteann Cup last year. Wexford are going to be no pushover. So, it's really, it has to be a case of one game at a time. That we can't afford to look any further down the line.
Oh, absolutely, and I wouldn't think that Mark McHugh was doing anything other than that. I'd say he's definitely in there this week saying, right, okay, we'll dust ourselves down, we'll get on with it. We need to make sure that we get a result out of this weekend, and that's all that matters. And there's not too many county teams in Ireland that don't look at that, they don't go into matches only with that mindset. Yeah. Like, if you look at Dublin at the minute, I'd say Dublin are just saying, right, okay, we'll worry about next weekend. And these are what were deemed to be the best football team of all time 5 years ago, and look how much that's changed in 4 or 5 years. There is no doubt that Westmeath are on the up. Down is an extremely difficult place to go to. Never mind going up there on a Saturday night and the spills are in. It's difficult to go to on a Sunday and the sun shining down on top of you. So you can be guaranteed that Down are going to put it up to most of these Ulster teams when it comes to the Ulster Championship up there this year. And we went up, we acquitted ourselves poorly in the first half, but I'd be very, very optimistic about our performance in the last 20 minutes in particular.
Yeah, just one thing, Ray, I'd just like to get in, when you mentioned there about the subs. A source of frustration for me, and I know Mark alluded to it afterwards, in the sense is that, like, there are lads who come on as subs and they get started the next day and don't play as well. And he said he'd love to see the lads who come on as subs being started and playing like that for 70 minutes. Now, I know no one plays well for 70 minutes, but I find that frustrating. I mean, we don't like mention names. TJ Cox earned his place the last day, started and didn't do particularly well. Now you've Brian Cooney coming on and Robbie Ford. I said on the way up, Robbie Ford will come on and score a couple of points, and he did. He scored 3 points. A great man to come on. Now maybe some lads are just good as impact subs, and rather than starting. But I know Mark was frustrated afterwards. And just there's another thing he said too, and I just want to kind of mention it here. He was kind of hard hitting, a little bit like Andy Farrell towards the Irish rugby team, and we say Ger Brennan as well. One thing he said, he was quite blunt after the match. He said, we showed fight and character in the end, but we can't leave it that late. And he was critical of maybe the fact it was put to him like we weren't winning ball at midfield, but he said there's more to it actual than winning ball directly with, a superb catch. It's kind of winning the dirty breaking ball. And he said, you have to bend your back and be brave to win breaking ball. There were a few of our lads today not brave enough to bend their back. If you're not brave enough to win dirty ball, you'll not win it. So it's fairly hard hitting and putting a bit of pressure on lads. I don't know whether it's overly critical, but that's not me saying that. That's his exact quote.
Well, I'd just say he's dead right.
Yeah, I think he's
If
right
he
too.
sees that, no, I'm not going to lie, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But if he sees that, you have to call it out. Like you have 15 lads taking the field. You've 11 other lads sitting up in the stand watching it, and you're looking at maybe some lads, I don't know who it was, but not bending their back and not taking a belt for the team. That's basically what he's saying. Like if he sees that, he has to call it out. I'd have no qualms in that. You have to say it out straight that if you are not putting your body on the line for this team, what is the point of being out there? Okay? It's just as simple as that. You can say he's been critical. I would say that he's been dead right, and the only way for them boys to answer that back is you can be guaranteed that he's going to give them same lads a chance next weekend, because he's not going to call them out and then not give them a chance again. He's going to give them a chance, and I'll think twice about not going for the next time.
Yeah, but I thought he was 100% right
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I don't want to drag anyone else in, but Paul O'Donovan and I would be good mates as well as everything else. And we walked away after and we said that was the first time we ever heard a Westmeath manager say exactly what was going through our mind.
Yes. And I think, in fairness to Mark, good management as well. He didn't name anybody.
No,
I'm quite sure the paint was taken off the wall.
But whoever them players were, it's them.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm sure it was dealt with in house, and which is where it needs to be dealt with. Like you boys know well, you can't start criticising players in the public, but I'm quite sure, that they knew who wasn't breaking their back and who wasn't going in for dirty ball. Because like Down were bigger than us physically, but we did get ball to ground, and they seem to be coming away with a lot of them.
Sure, prime example is, some of our listeners and wouldn't even know this fella, but probably one of the smallest players of all time was a former Down player in James McCarthy.
Yeah.
And by God, he pulled out with nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he took more belts than anyone else and gave more belts than most lads. So it doesn't matter what size you are or how big or how small you are. Once you're brave enough and willing to take it, you put yourself about.
I remember Colin O'Rourke writing one time a few years back. Now, this is an extreme, of course. He said, sure, if you get your jaw broken, what's the worst thing can happen you than get your other jaw broken? That's the Meath mentality, of course.
Yeah.
But in terms of, just Jerry alluded to the subs. A subs role suits some lads more than it does others. Now, some of these lads are not going to like it. Say Robbie Ford scored 3 points, Breen Cooney scored 1-1, Senna Baker scored a point. There might be just a case that them lads are probably better coming off the bench and making sure that there's strong impact. I think it was at Dublin, Jim Gavin said years ago, why was he not playing Kevin McManaman? Because I want to finish with my best team on the field. Right. And your best team on the field might be the lads that are going to win the match, and they might be in your top 15 players, but there's no point in not having them on the pitch at the end of the match when I really need them. Yeah. You play a lad that's going to keep you in the game, and you put on lads that are going to win the game for you. It's a big boost that we have these lads that are able to make a difference all the time. So I'd be saying, there comes a stage where he'll be under pressure to play some of these lads, but at the end of the day, every manager worth their salt will go with, right, I'm going to have to use him as the impact, and that's just it.
I actually wouldn't be that concerned over that loss. Actually, on Saturday evening, at the outset, where you're looking at, if there was one game you thought you might lose, and that was the one you probably expected most. And if you look from a Down point of view, their big players probably played very, very well. Our big players probably didn't play as well. And if we were to meet them again, I think we've more room to improve. So I think, things aren't that bad at the same time in my view.
Yeah, no, just I suppose it's a dose of reality for us coming out of it, and I suppose it'll focus the minds now looking forward to this weekend where we're home to Fermanagh, another northern team that will come down that we always struggle against, but again a very winnable game for us.
Yeah, absolutely, very winnable, and they should, the best thing to do now is get back on the wagon and just try and go for that win next Sunday, and take every game then as it comes. That's the focus really.
Yeah, and probably not that many changes. Probably to a starting 15 again. I know there was 2 before the throw in at the weekend, but you know, probably will give lads, you say Alan, more or less give them a chance to get in and get their back broken this time and get bent down and get stuck into it.
Exactly. To be honest, if it was me, I would just he said a few lads, so I'd say if it's 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, I would start all them lads again, and I would make it very, very clear to them that you're the lads that I was on about, and they're going to know themselves. They're not foolish. You're out in the pitch. I remember when I was coming to the end of playing out the field, and I got a hand pass one day, and it was up in the air, and I said, "Oh, I'm not going for this." And that was me finished. I knew then I can't play out the field anymore, because it was only a league match in Casttown. It was that moment that I said, I'm finished playing football if I'm not going to go for that ball. And I just wasn't willing to go home and spend three days laying on the couch. And it was a tough cookie that was coming towards me. So.
Yeah.
But it's like that. If you're not willing to put your body in the line, like I got plenty of belts in my time, and I was willing to go for everything. But when it comes to the stage where you're not willing to go for a ball, it's time to pack it in.
Yeah, and there's like in the Intercounty game, there's
no hiding place.
No hiding place for that. Brendan, you're going to make a flight at the weekend, I think, heading across the water to Ruislip.
Over to Ruislip, yeah.
Yeah, hurling. It's round 3, but it's only our second game in it. Am I right?
The third game.
Yeah.
It's third game. Yeah,
No, it's our
it's
third.
our
It's our third. It's round 4.
We missed the one we missed the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
How have things been in the camp there since the win over Meath? How has things gone?
Yeah, gone okay. Like, I mean, we're travelling over on Saturday morning. It's the same weekend as the Ireland play rugby over there as well. So
All going to Twickenham?
I wish. I believe the flights are extremely expensive this weekend. So I don't expect many supporters to be travelling over, but there might be a few hardy souls. I'm sure.
Go on the boat.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few of the wild geese from resident in London will be there. Yeah, look, it's a novel thing for most of these lads to fly out of the country to play a game. Look, we have to go over there and just build on the Meath game, and you know, we'll have Darren McCormack back for next weekend. He has served his 1 match suspension. So I don't hear any. I hear everything is going well.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a game's at 1 o'clock next Sunday.
It's
you know.
1 o'clock. Yeah, of course it is our third game in the group. We had the bye with them. We'd Kerry and Meath, of course. So my mistake on that one. Jerry, London is an awkward place to go to if you're not fully tuned in. Like, I know it's only an away game. It's probably no further travel than what it was down to Kerry, but still, you know, you get on a flight, you go over there. It's, you know, the routine is affected differently in that. So this is one that they can't take their eye off either.
Yeah, it was originally planned to travel myself, but something cropped up. So please God, I'll be at the Joe McDonough. I won't get to this one. I'll be at the football on Sunday. But yeah, I've been there umpteen times for hurling and football, and I was there 1 year when we very, very, very nearly beaten by London. Can't think of the guy's name. A London guy had a free shot from about 35 yards out with seconds to go, and somehow he tailed it wide. Otherwise, we were going to be beaten. So it hasn't always been plain sailing. As you say, it's a kind of a novel experience for some of the younger lads. You'd still have to say you'd be very disappointed we didn't win, but you never know who London are going to have. It depends who's kind of over there working or studying or whatever else. And like, you know, suddenly you look at the programme, you see lads that, you know, with Tipperary and Galway and Kilkenny and what have you, maybe not necessarily household names, but I'd never take the match for granted. And it's a tricky one. And, you know, given the fact that we've started well with 3 points on the board, it'd be a bit of a disaster not to come away with the 2 points. But I certainly wouldn't be taking London lightly, or I don't think the management will.
Alan, the logistics of this one, like for Kevin O'Brien and for the management, it's a difficult one. You know, lads making sure they have passports. There's a lot of things that, you know, around the whole travel trip that you have to organise.
Yeah, I'd be fairly sure though Kevin has someone with him that's going to do a lot of that in terms of getting passports. And
Here.
Well, he's not here because I think they're all big boys, you know, and they have been told to get their.
But in terms of lads getting the right name on a ticket and all that crack, there's a lot of work goes into it. Like, I know they have to bring their own passport, they're hardly that bad, but at the same time, if you don't have your right name on the passport, you won't be getting on a flight. And there's a lot of organising into it, and the likes of Kevin needs people to help out there. Like, he has bigger fish to fry than trying to organise a trip. But I was over there as a footballer once, and I was over there as part of a management team with the hurlers once with Brian Hanley. So I'm pretty sure that that's the day that you're on about, Sherry.
It is.
I remember being over there going, I can't believe this is about to happen. But it didn't. Tail wide, we got the win. We came out of there happy, and we left, and we could not get to the airport quick enough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say that the GA have to look at this. Like, it's a weekend that we're going over to play London. The flights are so expensive. It just stops anyone from Westmeath going over. Like, surely to God, we know when Ireland are playing England in Twickenham that we won't have one of the teams in Ireland going over there to play London that weekend. Surely to God, they can come this weekend, and then we could go. They could change the fixture around, so London are home this weekend, and we can go over there in a few weeks' time. It gives, again, there's a lot of people that'd love to go. Do you know what I mean? Lots of people in Castletown would love to go and watch that. Spend 40 or 50 euro on a return flight, stay overnight, have a bit of crack, go for the weekend, make the most of it, and watch Westmeath playing in a sort of a game that you might never get the chance to go and do again.
And it's a double whammy this year because we have to go there for the McDonagh as well. So
Yeah, but at least it might be a bit cheaper then.
Yeah.
No, we're going to the McDonagh.
Scats will pay for us all to go to John McDonagh. Fair play to him.
There's someone else there I'm looking at as well. He can fork out for that one as well. I had the pleasure of playing once in another. I haven't been back to Rice-Dip in a number of years. Alan, you there, Jerry, probably there more recent because I think the ground has been redeveloped. But it's back in 1984. We went for the All-Ireland B final. And the more than what you said about with Brian Hanley, we got out of jail that day as well. And I know a lot of our older viewers might remember, Brendan, you remember the name I'm going to throw out here was Michael Ryan from Raharney. He was hurling with Raharney and transferred over to London and almost bet us on his own that day over there.
Yeah, Michael was a very good, talented hurler, and he probably it gave him an extra bit to play against some of his former teammates.
All I'm going to say about he certainly got their attention and he distracted them for the length of time they left him on the field, and for some unknown reason we couldn't believe it. They took him off after about 50 minutes. We got on top. They ended up putting him back on when we were on top. He nearly won it again, but we got away by the narrowest of margins. We did that.
It's a difficult place to go, and it depends on how well lads prepare over there. And the good thing about now is that the Westmeath hurling setup have enough of good lads around it to keep these lads grounded and make sure that they're in the right frame of mind going out to play the game. It's a must-win game. It's as simple as that, as are the rest of the games. But this really is because it's something that the players are not used to doing. I'd say if any of them played over in London, I'd be very surprised if any of the current setup played in London. Like, if you look at, I'd say anyone that played in London all sort of retired this year, and the last time that we played. So it's a new one for all this group of players, and hopefully they'll take it in their stride and get a win this weekend.
Yeah, have to get it.
Yeah, there was a lovely buzz there last year for the football. You know, it's a great opportunity to see people that have moved to England you haven't seen in years, a nephew I haven't seen in years, and great buzz. So we mightn't have it this weekend, but please God, say between flights and everything else, that for the McDonagh Cup, because it's a great kind of opportunity to meet the Westmeath diaspora. There's a lovely buzz to it now. Maybe February isn't the nicest of times, and you know the weather we've been having, but please God, we'll all be alive and well. And
but to be no harm in, say, it's obviously too late to do it now, but the likes of, if the county board could organise a bit of a dinner or something the night before and bring a few of the ex-players over and try and get something over there going and build up a bit of support in London, because listen, no matter where you can get a few quid out of to help us get this centre of excellence up off the ground and get it going, it's something like that we need to look at, maybe to drum up a bit of support and maybe bring a few quid back, because I can tell you when the likes of Kerry and Donegal, these guys, when they go foreign or away to play, they bring plenty of
Yes, funny you say that, Alan. I was up in the Ballyglass Cemetery today at my parents' grave and came across Jim Moore's grave. Poor Jim, a lot of you would know him. Jim was a great man. When you'd be over there at, drumming up kind of the whole Westmeath buzz, and often paid for meals and stuff out of his own pocket. And I thought of him today. He'll be missed this weekend and any other time Westmeath go over there. So I know exactly what you mean. He was a great man to drum up that kind of buzz about Westmeath.
Yeah, at the end of 2004, myself and Brian Morley went over to Westmeath Association dinner dance, and we brought the Delaney Cup over with us, and geez, we had a great old evening there. It was great crack, and met people that we'd never met before, and probably never met since either. But it was a great weekend, and plenty of Westmeath people over there.
Speaking of Westmeath people over there, there's going to be one Westmeath player playing against us, I would think, this weekend. Is David Devine from Castle Pollard.
Yeah.
You know Alan, you come across
Yeah.
him, Ray, you probably know him as well. Alfie's son. I know he was taken off down in Kerry. I don't know whether it was with an injury or what it was, but was he top scorer in the Christy Ring final?
I think he was man of the match in the Christian League final last year, and he's working over there. He's been based over there for a number of years, and there was talk of him coming back to Castle Pollard earlier this year, but that's not true. So he's a quality player. So he'll take a bit of watching, and he has the pedigree. There's no doubt about that.
He'd be on this Westmeath team if he was here.
He would. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah,
He's a serious forward, and if we're not tight on him, he could do what's that man's name? Mick Ryan. He could do the same thing.
He'll take a bit of watching, but you just don't know what London will have, and oftentimes they come home with a different team than they have when they play a home game. So look, I'm sure Kevin O'Brien and the management will be well aware of the banana skin that this game is, and they'll just want to get the 3 points or 2 points and move on with it, and back then for the home game. Are we out again 2 weeks running? We are.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
They're coming thick and fast on them as well. Well, look, at the best of luck to the two county teams in action this weekend. Just want to talk a little bit first of all about some of the underage stuff. Minor football, one of the selectors on to me earlier today. Looks like a decent side this year under the management of Mick Dillon, and had a win against Clare in the Leinster League. Now, I don't know how Clare qualified to play in Leinster, but anyway. The boundaries can be moved when it suits it, obviously, but decent side, good backroom team, and look forward to seeing them progressing along and getting ready for championship. Minor hurlers under Ger Behan, Pat, one of the selectors with him, he's not here tonight, but I know there's an issue with dual players, as Brendan said, I think maybe before camera, that we're one of the main counties in Ireland with the most number of dual players, and unfortunately when they're good at one, they're usually good at another. But look, at hopefully management can get common sense and get them out there. But nice to see that the minors off and running, and I suppose they come into a championship early enough in the year, don't we? We've put games in championship even under lights and stuff like that before, so it'll be in on top of them before they know where they are. So look, at the best of luck to the two minor teams and the other development squads as well going forward. Now, another thing we wanted to just have a quick discussion about as well is the football championship structure for 2026. They were discussed last week at a meeting of the county board and voted in that there is a change in the format for the championship this year, 2026. And I think it's going to make for a very, very interesting championship because quickly, hopefully, Brendan, I get my facts right in this. The top 3 teams, there's Section A, Section B as previously. Top 2 teams in Section A qualify for a semi-final. The third team in Section A qualifies for a quarter-final.
Correct.
Along with the top 3 teams in Section B go to an open draw for a quarter-final. Am I right?
That's correct, yeah.
Still only 2 teams relegated and 2 teams promoted.
Correct.
So there's definitely going to be a hell of a lot more jeopardy in this championship. With if you take Section 1, where last year's finalists, Kinnegad, the Downs, Loam is not going to be far away. Shamrocks. Gary Castle. So they're all fighting for one place.
Tough.
So there's going to be like, you can't just time your run to come in and win 2 games at the end of the group and go on a run. It's all to play for right from the beginning of the championship.
Yeah, the jeopardy is definitely increased in Section A
Yeah.
this year, and like if we look at the championship over the last few years, like you could have a team that maybe you had a bad day, and you have an opportunity then in subsequent rounds to get back on track. I think this year that's going to be there's going to be a lot more jeopardy for the teams in Section A. You're going to have to win every game as it comes, because if you don't, you're falling down the pecking order. So like it will add jeopardy to Section A, and I mean the teams in Section B will be happy that there's another team going to be in the knockout stages. There might be some people grumbling about that a ninth ranked team is going to be, but look, that's what we have now for this year, and it's going to be interesting. You know.
Well, yeah. Ray, for you in the intermediate grade, I think with last year in Section B, Castle Finay and Cool White Hall ended up winning 3 games and didn't qualify for the knockout stages, would have finished in 3rd place. So now, they're going to be rewarded for that if they can get into 3rd place. And might be unlikely that you'll win a championship from the Section B, but it's a possibility at the same time.
Yeah, well, look, I think with any change, people are wary of change, and I suppose with this straight away, if you're in Section A of either senior or intermediate, you're going to be a little bit concerned with your percentages, chances of coming out have dropped. Section B, I think in both championships are going to be very interesting. I think in the senior one, you have 6 teams who will feel they're good enough to come out of Section B, and it's very tight. That'll be interesting. In the intermediate one, I suppose you'd probably look at maybe Rosemount and the Bridge would fancy their chances of coming out. But you have 4 other teams there. You mentioned Finay there, done a very good championship last year. I think Ballymore of the Maxwell's back. They're coming back, should I say. Ballinagore going very well, and they'll take beaten by anybody. And the other team, Maryland there, with great experience as well. So it's going to be very competitive in both those Group Bs. So it's interesting to see what happens. I know probably it was said over the years, maybe in Section A you could come out with 2 wins and 3 losses. And that would have happened quite a bit. But I wouldn't be shocked if maybe it's that competitive in Section B that team goes out with 4 points in 3rd place either. Because it's going to be very, very hard in both those groups for everyone will beat everybody largely in Section B. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah. Brendan, no change to the hurling championship, but the football certainly got everybody talking. And look, we do fear that going forward, that with the way that Congress are going to vote on stuff this year, where they're going to, the GA hope to complete all competitions within a calendar year. We're one of the very, very few counties around with 6 teams in groups. Can you see that changing going forward? Like, can you see it in the 4 groups of 3, or
Yeah, well, I mean, the GA have mooted this for a number of years now, that they want all competitions finished in the calendar year, and at the moment it takes 15 weeks for us to run our competitions in Westmeath with the 6 teams in our groups. If the GA want to finish all the club championships in the calendar year, that means pulling back the start of the provincial club championships, and that has a direct impact then on where the window that Westmeath have to run the championship as it currently structured with 6 teams. So it's been talked about, and there's nothing. All we know is that for Congress this year, there is a motion going before the delegates to move the All-Ireland finals back by 2 weeks. But don't be surprised if there's talk about these finishing everything in the same calendar year. So, nothing stays, like as Ray mentioned there, change happens, and we're not in control of it some of the time. It's outside, the provincial competitions and that influence or dictate that. But change is hard for people to, it can be difficult to get your head around it. But we have to be open-minded, and we have to be thinking that there is a possibility that we may not be able to have groups of 6 in the future if we have a shorter window to run our club championships, and a lot of people won't be happy with that. I know we pride ourselves. We think the championships we have are brilliant, and
which they are,
and we have proof of that. Like over the years, they've always been very competitive. So look, there's a lot at play, but for 2026, we have these changes are coming in now, so it's going to be just another point as well, Ray. The junior championship, there was a proposal from CCC which didn't get support, the junior championship is going to be quite similar to what was in 2025. So just if listeners are wondering what the structure is there. So
Which is the junior clubs on one side
Yeah.
and the second
Yeah,
teams
yeah.
from the other clubs on the other group as well, and that. And I know real, like the dual player is still going to just get, lots of games. Your intercounty player is going to get, he's going to have no break in it. But it's not an easy solution for it. Like
No, there's in my eyes, listen, and this is just my own opinion. I don't know why we've changed. So we've no less games. Maybe if they were going to change this and 3 teams come out, we probably should have done a draw with the 4 semi-finalists go into, say for senior, 4 semi-finalists go into one pot, all the rest teams go into another, and you take 2 and 2, go into a group, and then 3 and 3 and goes in, and that makes it a bit fairer. I can see, like the likes of who came out from, Gary Castle came out last year from Group 2. And Colliery. Like they'll probably seriously aggrieved over this, fighting their way out of that group to get into the next group, then to be kicked with. We'd have a better chance of getting to a quarter final next year if we stayed where we were.
But look, there's going to be counter arguments in that as well.
And the thing I think is what we should do in this county is we've far too many league matches. It absolutely crucifies the club player. It's the dual player, let's say. We've far too many league matches. Like Castdown and Malachy's, they'll start next weekend. Say this Saturday, Malachy's will start, and they will play 16 weeks in a row, or the guts of. They might have an odd game during the week or whatever, but they'll play 16 weeks in a row, and 75% of our players, maybe even a little bit more, 80% of our players will play all of those matches.
Yeah.
Like I would say we should split them Division 1s into 2 and have Division 1A, Division 1B, top 2 teams going to semi-final, and then you've automatically instead of having 9 football matches, you have 4, and then you have a semi-final and final. So most you're playing is 6. Gives us a couple of months to get ready for championship. Gives us a couple. No, listen, it's.
Oh, I tell you.
Listen, I do not envy any person that's in there. I'm not going to give out about the lads that are in there making these decisions because I wouldn't do the job myself. But it's just the only thing I'd say is I would definitely cut back on the amount of league matches for dual players because that's what's killing them. It wouldn't. You have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 out in Shandona, maybe 3 dual players. Do you 4?
A couple of guys of Plunkett,
yeah.
A couple of Cullion as well. Yeah.
So it's but for the likes of Raharney, Castletown, Clonkill would have a lot.
Yeah.
Lomond, there's an awful lot of players.
And I've actually observed over the years that lads now are making a choice younger to drop one of the codes because there is such a, especially if you're playing senior football and senior hurling, it's a big commitment and playing all those league games as well. The body just doesn't stick that as you get older. And I see players now making decisions at maybe 28 or 29 to say I'm going to focus on one code here.
And some of these lads are starting families a little bit younger now than they have been starting, and it's even harder on them. Like we have one fella in particular this year. He's 2 small kids at home. He's only going to concentrate on hurling because he just doesn't have the time. With 2 babies under 3 at home, it's very hard for him to commit to playing matches every weekend, not being able to do anything. We could be playing every Sunday. So Sundays are wiped out for him for 16 weeks.
Yeah, no, it is. Look at it. It's Brendan, I think ourselves and Galway, I think what you were saying are probably 2 of the main counties that are affected most with the dual player. And look at credit to the lads for getting it done. This is the change. There's a possibility more will come. I'm sure there's a possibility they can fine-tune these championships going forward as well. And hopefully everybody will agree. But look at come next July when the championship starts, it'll be held for
It's a decision that's made. We roll with it now and
that's it,
hope that it's a good job.
And I'm sure club players now have their heads around it. Yeah, they might have aggrieved over it, but when they go back to train and start training hard again, it'll be all focused and getting into that, top 3 or whatever it is, and come over and try and win a championship. At the end of the day, there's only going to be 1 winner in the senior football, 1 winner in intermediate football. You're hoping it's going to be Shandona this year, so that's the way it'll be. Look at it. It's
someone said to me this evening, Ray, like, we have the structure we have, and that's what we're going to have for the year. But the best team will always come out on top. That's just the way the championship works, like, you know. So it's going to be an interesting championship.
Yeah. No, just been reminded of this. I should have mentioned it earlier on. The winner of our Instagram poll for last week's Player of the Week was Killian Doyle. So well done, Killian, on that one. Got all the fans out there doing the voting for you. Well done. Now, this week's nominees. We only again had the football this weekend. So the 3 players nominated for this week: Brian Cooney, Luke Loughlin, and Baidu Saye. They're the 3 players. So again, 3 lads out there, plenty of fans. Get out there, vote for your player. As I said, Brian Cooney came off the bench, had a big impact on it. Luke, I think, kicked 5 points, even though he was very, very tightly marked. Showed his quality with a couple of great 2-pointers, one in particular. And Baidu back playing football with Westmeath. Good to see him back there using the experience, and certainly put in one big hit in the second half against one of the down players. So, you know, they're the 3 nominees for the Player of the Week for this week. So get voting as part of our Instagram poll. The next thing I want, again, I was up at that same meeting, I think, was this whole issue of decoupling. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that word means, it just means that we don't allow our 18-year-olds to play adult games. You have to be in your 19th year as such, or 18, what is it, 18 before the 31st of January?
The 1st of January.
Yeah, then before they can play. I know there's lots of pros and cons on that as well. Ray, what's your opinion? I know out in Shandoni you have a very high profile player that is going to have to wait for another year or so before he's eligible. But overall, good or bad?
My view, probably coming from the third pass side of it, from our motion, or would have been, I would have been personally as well, I'd be in favour of under 18s being allowed to play adult football. I recognise the other side of the argument with fixtures, and we do fixtures very well, I think, and also the player welfare point of view. But I'd probably look at it from a development point of view for players in smaller clubs, as in Division 3, Division 4 teams, and getting them exposure to a higher level. Like if you go back to maybe the glory years, and Alan obviously was key man there, 95 to 04, when we were winning an awful lot. At that time, those players were getting exposure at a younger age. And another thing I felt was brilliant back that time, and you would have played against you once, in the Premier Championships. So if you have a young player in one of these smaller clubs, they're getting exposure to play against the Mullingar Shamrocks, against the St. Lomans, at a level above Division 1 level. Well, now, when I would have heard back by a number of people involved with development squads, that the players coming in from Division 3 and Division 4 clubs, that there's a noticeable difference in the quality that they're bringing. And like, for some of these clubs, I think getting that exposure is vital. So that's why I'd be in favour of it this year, I'd be in favour of it next year and the year after. And then you'd look at maybe the counties like the Kerrys, and I work with guys from down there, and they have the under 18s allowed play, and it is to support the smaller clubs. And I did see a comment in the Examiner, I think from Brosna, about maybe struggling a little bit. And for the clubs who are finding it tighter on numbers, you want to help them the best you can. And then another thing they did in Kerry, and I mentioned, is the Premier Championships. I'd love to see that coming back. So I remember being maybe 16 playing under 21 final against a team this man was on, and Alan Mangan, Michael Ennis, and we lost it. But at that age, you get exposure to play against county senior footballers. If you're from a Division 3 or 4 team, it doesn't happen. So that's why I definitely would be a fan, but I fully understand the other side of the argument, and common sense will be needed regarding player welfare.
Alan, I think you played adult games at 15 or 16, am I right?
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't do me any harm.
Didn't do you? Well,
No.
That's a matter of opinion.
You were in front of me.
You were well-minded, I'd say. But but you know, there is the issue of player welfare. Sometimes I wonder if you're good enough, you're old enough, and if you're going to stay playing, you'll stay playing.
Yeah, listen,
But like that's a very simple.
I would be in favour of letting them play, and it wouldn't be to help out Castan, where our numbers are quite high in terms of hurling, but our numbers with Malachy's is extremely low compared to Castan. We've lots of lads out there that are only concentrating on one, and that's fine. That's their own prerogative to do that. That's no problem. But I think just at 18 years of age, these lads, like I'm doing a small bit with Kenny McKinley in terms of going to matches with him and doing a bit in the stand for him, and I've seen under 20 Westmeath footballers, and I see these 18-year-olds like Will Scahill and James McHugh and lads like that, that they're well fit to play adult level, and probably might be the difference in a team getting over the line and not getting over the line. I just think they're 18. I'd have no problem with the under 17s not playing, none whatsoever. That's fine, but I would definitely, if it was me, I'd put it back to the odd number and let 18-year-olds play. That's what I would do, but that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
What Ray was saying about that, what I thought was brilliant. We were lucky enough to win under 16 minor and a couple of under 21 Premier Championship medals with Malachy's band. It was called Enel Shamrocks. We were lucky enough that we got to join with Kilbeggan to play these, and we ended up winning four Premier Championships. Now that is throwing an outrageous pressure on the fixtures secretary at underage level, but we got great exposure as I think we played Innie Gales, is that what you were called?
Yeah,
Innie Gales in that under 21. It was under 21 back then, and as far as I remember, it was on a weekend that Westmeath had a break. It wasn't played till the following year.
Okay.
It wasn't played till
2002.
2002.
It was played, I think.
Yeah.
After 2000 final.
I think the Westmeath team the week before we played Galway in a National League match, and PJ Ward came on as a sub. I was corner forward, Michael Ennis was wing forward, and we were the full forward line against them 8 days later.
Delighted not being in the full back line.
But there were great games. Like I remember we won the minor. We beat Gary Castle in the semi-final, and Gary Castle had, I'd say they must have had 10 or 11 lads that all won 7 or 8 championships, senior championships playing that day. The likes of Desi, Doran Hart, John Gaffey, Shocko, they were all playing, and we scraped across the line against them after extra time down in Colliery. So it was massive exposure for us at that level, because we weren't used to playing at that level. We were playing B or sometimes even C. Like Kilbeggan might have been C. We were strong enough. We were playing B, but Kilbeggan were playing C, and all them players came up, and it was great exposure. You would have been the same, Ray. You wouldn't have been playing in the A division a lot, but you all got to that final, and it was
the minors as well.
Yeah.
It was great exposure.
Yeah.
Brendan, there's pros and cons to it as always. Raharney, maybe good numbers as well. Not as much under pressure to get lads through at 18, but look at it.
There's absolutely there's pros and cons. We discussed this in Raharney, and we were in favour of leaving it the way it is, because we felt that the 18-year-old would get a better championship with the players at his own age. The risk with as Alan said, the fixtures is very, very complicated. Having done fixtures myself, if you have an overlap between underage and senior, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You'd have to go back to under 17 if you wanted to have a disconnect between the adult and juvenile fixtures. But definitely there's a growing cohort within the county, the smaller clubs that they feel they need that 18-year-old, and that's very understandable. And it's not going to go away. It's going to be debated year on year, and I look. It was voted on the other night, and it was a fairly decisive decision on it. But it's not going away.
Jerry, you're old enough. You keep telling us to remember lads playing minor football with the county and senior football in the one day. What that wouldn't happen nowadays.
Yeah, I saw Seamus Conroy play for Westmeath minor and senior the same day against Meath in 1971 in Tullamore. Yeah, big man though, Seamus, big hardy boy, And it's funny, I'll just tell a little story. Tom has been on about my stories. We're going to maybe briefly touch on Kalash de Wirra. It's been confirmed they're playing Abbey CBS in the All-Ireland semi-final, and the manager, they won the All-Ireland once 20 years ago. In fact, it's the last time they won the McCrory Cup, and they beat Pat Snavin in a thriller down in Carlow. But the manager of that Abbey CBS team was a guy called Val Kane. And back in 1963, when Westmeath got to the minor All-Ireland, I was 6 years of age and was at all the matches, and they were my heroes, and still my heroes, those of them that are still alive. But we played down in the All-Ireland semi-final, and Val Kane was on the Down senior team, and he was also eligible for minor, but Down rested him, and wouldn't play him in the minor match because they assumed they were going to hammer Westmeath. And they brought him on with about quarter of an hour to go when Westmeath had the damage done. Pat Bradley nearly bet them by himself that day. So those days, a guy was capable of playing an All-Ireland semi-final in minor and senior the same day, a man called Val Kane. And that's how he came to my mind. I don't know, he's probably well retired now with Abbey CBS, but that's they were different days, I suppose. And I don't remember him as being a particularly big, hardy guy, but Seamus Conroy was. There's only three Westmeath players have played minor and senior championship the same day. Father Matty Coleman, who was parish priest out in Allen's neck of the woods for years, and the one and only Mick Carley back in 1958, and Seamus Conroy back in 1971.
That would have been a nice quiz, Jerry. We could have set that one there for Instagram, and so I would have known then. Yeah, but you know, when you look at the quality of those players, where didn't really stunt their growth going through, and the longevity of their careers afterwards as well. You know,
but there were less games then. That's far less games. Far less games.
That is true. That is true.
But it's not going to go away.
No,
There's going to be a vote next year on it. There's going to be a vote the year after. There's going to be a vote the year after. But it's but I can understand how the smaller clubs are just going to keep plugging away and trying to get it to happen, because like Ray mentioned, he was talking to a lad from Bumrusna, like they're probably struggling for numbers. We're struggling in Malachy's for numbers. It's like we could do with the 18-year-olds being allowed plays. We'd have an extra 3 or 4 that'd be able to come into the fold. But listen, it's got to do with fixtures, but it's also got to do with, I think the minor does be played on a Friday night. In my eyes, if they were allowed play, that'd be up to the likes of myself and Ray and lads that are over these senior teams to make sure that we look after them players. Like at the end of the day, it's all about player welfare, and I think we need to give, if we do ever decide to bring the 18s back, well then it's up to the managements to decide, listen, his first and foremost, he plays the minor, and if we can't start him in senior, so be it.
And also committees as well, that you know, the manager's not looking after these players, they're the club's players, you want to mind them.
Yeah, and of course the issue there is, you know, that an outside manager comes in and he's on about one thing, and that's winning the adult thing. He's not worried about what their minors do. So there are lots of problems, and even it's not as simple as just managing it that way either. You know, there's lots of problems, and look at. It's gone. We've kicked the ball down the road for another year or more. I don't know how often it can come up, Brendan, that, but at least for now, it's kicked on down the road. Jerry, you touched on it already. Colosh to wear Abbey CBS the 28th of February. Is that right? Has that date been confirmed yet?
Well, apparently that's the date. Yeah, that was fixed some time back. It was on to Dean McNicholas tonight before we come on. He's no word on where the match is going to be. And it's a tricky one because Westmeath are playing Laois the same day at 6 o'clock in Portlaoise, and those of us that have an interest in both would like to be at both places, but it looks a tall order unless it was somewhere like Parnell Park at 1 o'clock. You might make the two of them, but
how do you bring the Abbey down as far as Portlaoise now?
I'm not sure to be mad about that. Even though, as I said, the Wonder All Ireland in Carlow, maybe they'll play it in Carlow and Jestin, of course. But so there's no fixture set. Last year's semi-finals were both played in club grounds, but the good news is, I just asked Dean, everything's going well in the background. Lads are training well and looking forward to it. I think Abbey got out of jail in the drawn match, but as often happens, you get out of jail in a drawn match. They won the replay, and deservedly so. And listen, they're bound to be good. Whoever wins the McRory Cup is bound to be good, and it's a big challenge. But I think there's a very, very good Colosh to wear a team, and I keep saying I was at all their matches so far. Different players have started on different days, and I think if they all click, they'll take a bit of beating.
Yeah, hopefully so.
I just mentioned as well, just TOS there in the Midlands and winning the Fresher Division 1 there during the week. Massive achievement. I think it's the first time it was ever done. A couple of Westmeath men, Owen Carberry, Conor Foley, Larkin Dolan, Kevin Dolan managing the team. So fair play to them, great achievement.
Yeah, I think seeing the team maybe 5 starters from Westmeath as
Taylor
well.
Slevin, another big 2 point. It's good at them, in fairness.
Yeah, as you know.
As I know.
But again, one for the future as well.
Great
and
player.
Young Ronan from Miltown Pass, and it's Brian Ronan.
Whitney from Moore there, Paul
Yeah.
Keegan.
Shane Corcoran.
Shane Corcoran from Malachy, 5 of them.
Yeah, like Shane Corcoran playing freshers from playing the senior intercounty football. So
Yeah, and he was very, very good. I have to say
Yeah.
he was. And I'm being a bit biased, but I thought he was probably the difference between two sides. I thought, Jesus, he was outstanding.
very good, very good. good to see it anyway. Again, these players, no more than, you know, Fitzgibbon and Sigerson and any of those, that the more of our players we can get exposed to that higher level of hurling and football, the better it is for the county going forward. Because these guys know then when they come to play against him with a county jersey on, sure, he's no different than I am. You know, we played him in that, or we played alongside him, you see what he does, you know, no different than that. Just again for our Instagram poll, last week's winner was Killian Doyle, and our nominees for this week for the footballers will be on the double again next week. But the footballers this week: Breen Cooney, Luke Laughlin and Baidu Saye. Now, Jerry, I'm going to throw the mic open to you, because I know you have a little bit of begging to do on something that's coming up very shortly that you're involved with.
Yeah, a very worthy cause. I'm part of a committee organising a function for the Westmeath Miners, who gave us all such great joy in 1995. A kind of a 30th anniversary. We've dragged it. It's 30 plus
31.
VAT at this stage, or small rate of VAT. It's 30 and a bit, and it's been held in the Bloomfield on March the 14th. And the lads have put a plea out to businesses to support them, and clubs and anyone who has a few pounds to spare, and it's gone very, very well. Some people have been very decent, and if there's anyone out there that recalls that great campaign, we don't win too many All-Irelands in Westmeath, and they want to support it, get in touch with any of the team. You know the team. We could all name the team from 1 to 15. You know who was on it. Just tip them and say, I'd love to support that. They'll be acknowledged on the night in a little kind of handout, but I think that's a very, very worthy cause, and the lads are trying to keep the whole price of the thing down as far as possible. Promises to be a great night, but it's a kind of a begging thing, and it's a very, very worthy cause.
Yeah. So anyone that can get behind them and give the lads a hand out, all donations gratefully accepted, as they say. Lads, I think we're going to finish up with that. Episode 5 done and dusted. It's been great listening to your opinions on everything Westmeath and whatever else has been going down. The best luck to the two inter-county teams playing this weekend. League football starting, club football starting. So Ray, you're off and running this weekend. Yeah. Alan, what you're at this weekend, or we'll surely see you around the match somewhere. Brendan, enjoy the flight to London and come home safe, and don't drink too much over there. And Jerry, as always, thank you very much. I'm Ray Gavin. See you all next week.